Hello, all you beautiful people out there. My name is Robert Rico, California Realty Training. Glad you made it because today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Madison Offenhauser, Keller Williams Regional Director. He's going to share with us his fantastic tips on how to create business, how to grow inside yourself with this real estate career. You don't want to miss it.
Oh my God, you look like a disc jockey. That's awesome.
I thought you were going to be wearing this stuff. What's going on?
No one gives me you're the professional at this. You have to teach me. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, give me a request. What do you want to hear next? I'm a DJ, he says. What do you want to hear? You want some disco? You want some jazz? What do you want?
That's so funny.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time. Like I said before, thanks for taking the time with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Highly appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy, but you know what? Like I said before, we want to give the best information, the most beneficial information to all of our students out there. And I hear you're the man to talk to when it comes to at least growth in your career, right? You've come a long way in real estate, Madison, from what I've read and done some minor research. So let's jump right into it. First of all,
Cool.
thanks for taking the time with us. When did you get your real estate license, and what prompted you to go after a real estate career?
I got my real estate license in 1985.
Wow.
And just after school, I went to Berkeley, and just after school, and it was a funny thing. The only reason I really got my real estate license was because all of my friends were doing it.
Oh man.
And then so many of my friends that I grew up with and all that, they went into commercial real estate, which is what I did.
Uh-huh. So is that the path you wanted to take right after high school? I mean, it was a no-brainer. That's what you wanted to be.
After college, yeah. But it's funny because when I graduated from college, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
So I actually went to work for Xerox for a couple of years because I heard they had a good sales training, and I did that and did lots of copier demonstrations and got my tie stuck in the document handler and all that kind of stuff. I started to think that maybe that business wasn't the thing for me, but I loved the sales part of it. I really loved the sales part.
So when you got deep into real estate, how'd that go for you? How young were you?
Well, when I started in real estate, I was in residential. I was 26.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny because I was in commercial real estate. I didn't really love commercial real estate because it's different from residential in the fact that your connection to your client is completely and totally a professional one, meaning that it's all business, right?
Right.
And so it's a really funny story. I didn't really plan on switching from commercial to residentials, but one night I went to a fundraiser with my mother because my father was ill. So I sat next to this woman, her name was June Scott, and she was sort of the maven of Beverly Hills residential real estate. So I always tell the joke that by the appetizer course, I was in commercial real estate. By dessert, I was in residential working for her.
That's funny. That's funny.
It was like a really random turn of events, but man, am I ever glad that happened.
Well, let's talk about that. Why did you go from commercial to real estate? I mean, they're completely different, different forms of real estate.
Yeah, a lot of it is the relationship to the client.
Uh-huh.
So I like the idea of getting to know the sellers or the buyers sort of in their home in a more casual, more personal relationship. I also realized that in commercial, it's all numbers, right?
Right.
The companies do the calculations on the lease, et cetera, depreciation, future value, all those things, which are super important. But as June taught me that, when a buyer finds a house they want, they're going to hawk the family jewels to get it. And what I mean by that, there's so much more passion in that. When people are choosing their homes, it's more than a home, it's a lifestyle, right?
Right.
And I loved being part of that process and helping people change their lifestyle in whatever way they wanted to do it. I thought that was really a cool thing, and I ended up loving it.
Got it. Now, Madison, I think I mentioned to you, we have thousands of subscribers in our YouTube channel, and this is where it's going. It's going on our YouTube channel to help as many people as we can who are going to dive into this career, just like you did at a very young age, although we have ages across the board. What would you recommend somebody who's coming into this business? Commercial, residential, does it matter?
No, but I don't think it matters any. It depends upon what's right for you, right? I went in, when I was in commercial, I didn't have the same passion for it that I did for residential. Okay. So that was just the right path for me to follow. One of the things, though, that I learned in commercial that is probably the most valuable lesson I've ever learned in business was about the lead generation part, building your business. So I certainly didn't love the concept of cold calling when I went to work in commercial, but I was disciplined and I was driven, and I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I would make my calls, I'd make the appointments and all of that. And that really helped me later on, because when I transitioned into residential, when I did the same thing, making the calls and all that sort of thing, do the lead generation, I was usually the only person in the office then, and all my coworkers were like, "You're insane. What are you doing in here? Calling people? You don't know the people you're calling? Are you nuts?" So I learned early on that I didn't want to rely on other people for leads and things like that. I wanted to be able to sort of chart my own destiny.
Right. Now, let me ask you on that point. That's a great point. A lot of our students ask us, well, they're afraid of two major things. They're afraid of contracts, and they're afraid of cold calling, like you just mentioned. How the heck did you get involved in cold calling? Were you nervous? How did you get past that obstacle of cold calling? Was it easy for you?
No, it was horrible.
Now, how does somebody get involved in cold calling and keep pursuing it and say, you know what, I can get past the rejection?
Well, I think that when I was in commercial, I talked to all the top people, the most successful. And I was always in the West Side, so Beverly Hills, Century City. And I would talk to the people that are in my office, and all the top people, literally, that's how they did it. So I realized my fear of cold calling was smaller than my desire to succeed, and honestly, to make a lot of money.
Let's say that again. Say that again slowly, so that way people understand. Say it again. Your fear?
My fear of cold calling was completely overshadowed by my drive to success.
Got it. That's great. Okay.
So I just sucked it up and I did it. And, I blew it, a bunch.
Right.
I think now it's a little bit easier because we have said there's so much technology available as well. Yeah, I believe it's really important that people are good on the phone and they do that aspect of it, and you're still touching your people person to person live rather than doing everything over the internet and email. But there's a lot of lead generation tech tools that are amazing out there, and they just weren't available to me then.
Right. Now you sound like you used that tool of cold calling. You mastered it. Sounds like you got past that fear. I guess, or are you still fearful? Well, I guess you don't do cold calling anymore, but you got past that fear of cold calling. How long were you a real estate agent how long were you a real estate agent and then went into, say, management? Did you go into management at all?
I was, I like to call it leadership, because I always think management is I'm trying to get people to do something, and that's never the case. I like to influence them and self-discover what's going to be the best path for themselves.
Got it.
I was in commercial real estate for about 4 years, and then I transitioned into residential real estate, and I was in residential for about 14 years.
Wow. Let's talk about that before you go into leadership. In the 14 years of residential real estate, were you very, very successful? What areas did you hit? Things of that. Let's talk about that, your real estate career and residential.
Yeah, I mean, I did extremely well. My areas were the West Side, so, Santa Monica, Brentwood, Beverly Hills, the Hollywood Hills. That's pretty much where I focused.
Uh-huh.
I sort of lucked out it a bit. Well, actually, it was through my cold calling, quite honestly, that I met a business manager it was in Century City, and he handled a lot of very big name celebrities. And I ended up handling a lot of his clients, and that really sort of exploded my business.
Got it.
Which was amazing.
Uh-huh.
But it still goes back to, if I hadn't done the lead generation, I never would have been connected with this guy. And he was instrumental in my career success.
But I take it you owe it to lead generation, to your cold calling.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What advice can you give to people who are looking to get into this career regarding fear of cold calling and lead generation?
Well, I think that a lot of people there's also smart cold calling, right? So to me, it makes a lot of sense to try and contact business managers, CPAs, attorneys, talent agents, people that have a very large sphere of influence of their own. So instead of trying to go direct to the end users for a listing or to represent one buyer, I always thought it was better to just cast a bigger net. And so success with 3 or 4 of those individuals can make a huge difference in your progress.
Where does passion come along in this whole thing and this whole game of real estate?
It's all about working with the people. As I said earlier, it's so much about, there was always such an excitement when I was as an agent doing transactions when, the buyers would close on their house or sellers were really excited to sell their house because they're going to move. So I was always really into it. I mean, I loved helping them get what they wanted. And I think that's sort of what catapulted me from, after I sold real estate for 14 years, I kind of wanted to have sort of a bigger stage, if you will. And that's what ultimately how I went the leadership route.
How is the leadership route treating you? Let's talk about that. Really?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I was, as an agent in Beverly Hills, as I said, for 14 years. And then when the Beverly Hills office of Keller Williams opened, they asked me to join, and I did. And I was one of the first agents. And shortly thereafter, I became the team leader. So I led the office, so growing the office. So again, man, talk about my cold calling and all of my my skills that I gathered over the years. That really helped in building that office. And I really love that. I mean, I love talking to all the people, and I never really felt like I was recruiting them. I felt like I was giving them a solution that maybe helped them see a bigger picture. And that I love that. I still love that till today.
Let's talk about Keller Williams. You brought Keller Williams up, and you've been with Keller Williams a long time.
I've been with Keller Williams for 15 years.
Wow. What is it about Keller Williams that makes it so special for you, for Madison Offenhauser?
It's interesting. When I left, or I moved from my previous company to Keller Williams, I really thought it was going to be kind of a lateral move, but I liked the business model, and I liked just sort of the speak of the entrepreneurial nature of the company. Once I transitioned, and I been with the company for a long time, I began to realize that it wasn't just a career choice. It was a lifestyle, really changed my life. I had never had so many people that were so successful really wanting to help me or give me advice, like pro bono. It wasn't like they wanted anything in return. It was like they really, truly, from their heart, wanted to help. And it's been an incredible experience. And that is exactly why I've continued I'm a champion of our company. And I see the way it changes so many other people's lives. And I love it.
Sounds like you're having a great run. Let's talk about the Keller Williams benefits that an agent who's new and looking for a broker that's strong and supportive, what they can expect from Keller Williams.
Well, going back to when we were talking about the lead generation portion.
Yeah.
Well, there's no real estate company out there in the industry that has the tech platform that we do. We are, Gary Keller and our IT team are developing something that's really incredible. And that will help new agents getting into the business. It will help agents that are already successful, and will even help agents that are uber successful, because it helps you concentrate on what's important. And you're doing what you really need to do. We call it the big rocks. So that's essentially what our company is about. It's about focus.
Now, what do you, with this whole big scheme, what do you attribute your success to in the Keller Williams system? Now, let's just talk about you, though. Let's go Madison, okay. Deep Madison.
Okay.
What down deep Madison said, you know what, I have this special characteristic. I have this special,
I think that my philosophy is, if I help people get what they want, I ultimately get what I want.
Wow. That's pretty good. That's fantastic.
And now they have to earn it. It isn't like, it's not necessarily it's not a gift. It's when I see people that really want to work, and they really want to achieve, and they really want to grow personally and professionally, I'm like, hey, I'm in. How can I help? What can I do? And it's interesting to me because a lot of people really don't know why they do things, right? We call it the big why.
Got it.
You don't really know why they're driven to do certain things. So like we see people that are working really hard in any industry or anything. You ask them, well, why do you work so hard? And a lot of times you get sort of a deer in the headlights look, like, what do you mean? Well, I'm doing it to provide for my family. But beyond that. So one of the things I love the most is helping people really get in touch with that on a very deep level, because a lot of times that allows them to see their lives and their potential in a much bigger way. And you can see the light bulb go off when they're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, I really can do that. And that's amazing.
Yeah. So once you give them the game plan, once somebody is given the game plan for success and they have that passion, which I believe is crucial when it comes to success, without the passion, to me, the passion is the gas in the gas tank. It'll get you to travel, if you really want to get there. What other technique, for example, the 80-20 that we discussed earlier, the 80-20 principle, how does that come into effect? And does that work? Does it not work? Let's share your thoughts on that.
It's funny you asked me this. I would say it's a cornerstone of whatever success I've had. In that, I mean, the philosophy, which is when I joined Keller Williams, everyone's talking about, the 80-20 principle. I'm like, what's that? I had no idea, never heard of it. The concept, which most people do know, I actually didn't, I'm embarrassed to say, but 20% of your activities produce 80% of the results, right?
Right.
Very simple. Seems really simple, but when I was team leader in Beverly Hills and I was the operating partner, the OP in Sherman Oaks, and I was coaching and doing all these different things, and I was completely, totally overwhelmed. And so I thought, I'm just going to have to give up one of these things because I just don't have the time. And then I started reading more about the 80-20 principle, which basically says concentrate on your 20% and basically farm the 80% out to someone else or technology or something, but stay in your 20%, the things that you really love to do. As soon as I started doing that, man, I had so much more time, and I became more and more careful with my time as I went along. And I only spent time on things that were going to get me closer to what my goals were.
So does this 80-20 principle, can it be used across the board, say from a brand new agent to a seasoned agent who's been doing this for years?
Absolutely. I mean, the brand new agents, when they start out, if they make their 20%, as we call it, right? That's the focus, the big rocks, the 20% that absolutely has to be done. And when that's done, you're golden. The 80% works itself out. So if it's building a business as a new agent, meaning that you're facilitating your own leads, right? You're out there, you're finding your clients. There's a lot of other companies or a lot of places out there now where people can go and buy leads. I don't really believe in that because they're paying a tremendous amount of money in referrals. And they're not really ever learning how to do the essential part of any sales business, which is how do you find clients? So I think that the focus on that 80-20, that's important.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that any agent that has had any sort of success, and what is success, doing a large number of transactions, those people have systems and models in place. And they made that their priority. They made that their 20%. And they built a real business rather than leading it up to chance, if you will.
Right. Okay, so let's go back a little bit here. Madison, so you got out of college, you went into real estate, you went into commercial, kind of regretted it, I think, went into residential, did that for many, many, many years. Then you became a team leader, which is, leading an office of a KW Market Center. And then you decided to maybe own one yourself, become part of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
How did that light bulb go off?
I mean, part of it was, it seemed like the natural next step.
Okay.
We grew our office in Beverly Hills I think we started with 42 agents, and when I left, we were just short of 300. So it was a really big business, and I really learned how, in the process of that, to start a business and run it and lead it and all that. So kind of wanted to try it on my own. So I did that and opened the Sherman Oaks office first with my partner, Kara Carnes, and did that for a while. Eventually she became the OP of that office, and I went on to do other things. Again, focusing on my 20%.
Right. So now your next step after that was then regional director.
Yeah, regional director. I've been a regional director now for 11 years.
Wow, I had no idea. That's fantastic.
I love it.
You love it. What's the best part of that job?
Gosh, you know what? It goes right back to what I said before. I get to help other people get what they want. when they really want to work for it and they're passionate about it. So meaning my job as a regional director is to work with all the owners, we call them OPs, of the market centers in the region, consulting with them to help them have greater success. And by virtue, obviously, if they're having greater success, their agents have to be having greater success. So it's a combination of both working with them in their leadership role in leading the market centers, but it's also, how do you help your agents?
Great. Hey, listen, what I want to do is this before I forget. I want to give our viewers some actionable advice. I want you to give me, I don't know, if you can, 3 things that you believe should be in a new real estate agent's skill set, their daily routine. What do you think you did that made you successful? The 3 things that worked for you. I want to share that with them. That way they, they don't come in blind. You know what, I have to do this, per the advice of Madison. He says, if I do this, it'll help me. If I don't do this, I'll fail. What do you think are 3 crucial things that agents must do?
Well, first of all, if it's going to be your career, treat it like a career.
Okay.
One of the things I liked the most about real estate in the beginning was, it's so great. I can, I can build my own schedule. I have so much flexibility. Well, the beginning, I think I actually was treating it like a part-time job. And when I hired a coach and I started to learn, wait a minute, if this is your career, Madison, you need to put in, 40 hours a week like everyone else does so you can advance. So I think, first of all, is really treating it like a business. So really being present for it. I think that's the most important thing.
So take it as a business owner. This is your business. You're owning, whether, and got it. Do you think on that, before we go to part 2, number 2, do you think thinking analytic is important, or do you think following a textbook, what everybody else is doing is suffice?
I think everybody's a little bit different.
Okay.
I think everyone's a little bit different. So finding out what's going to work for you, but the most important thing is put the time. It's time on task, right?
Okay.
Put the time in so that you actually know if what you're doing is effective. If you're working as a part-time agent, it's very difficult to do that. You can't track anything. So if it's really your career, especially in sales or really in any business, we do the first part, which is the lead generation, make the sale, whatever it is. Then we track how we did it. So obviously the more at bats you have and the more experience you have, you can see what you personally do best based upon your numbers, really.
Got it. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 advice you'd give somebody who's coming into this business, some action that they can take to say, you know what, I have to do this per Madison's advice, and this will keep me on the right track. What did you do?
Well, my biggest, in residential, open houses were my thing.
All right, let's go there. Open houses.
Oh my gosh, I would beg everyone in the office, the agents, super successful agents. I would do anything to hold their houses open, and then I gathered I really got my own clients at those open houses.
Well, let's share that. How did you do that? Share with us the system you had in place. So you would go up to somebody who's killing it, making some good money on, in real estate, and you would say to them,
or I'd just walk around the office, right?
Okay.
Need help with open houses? I mean, well, I'm good now. But every week, I constantly did it. Lead generation, right? But it was internal lead generation because I really wanted to have open houses. I was committed to having an open house every single Sunday because I knew that way I would get clients. So I would ask them over and over and over again. And this is sort of before email really kind of kicked in. So to give you an idea, when I was first in residential, our MLS was in a book.
I actually remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hilarious. So I think about that. But anyway, that is getting open houses, just getting them first. And then the next part of it is working them. And have you ever gone to an open house and you walk in and the agent's like in the kitchen on the phone?
Oh yeah. They don't even know you. They don't even know you entered the house. I got you.
That's not holding an open house.
No.
That's babysitting.
Right.
And there's a very big difference. So greeting the people at the door. And actually, I would walk the neighborhood before the open houses with my brochures, with their brochures, because I wasn't the listing agent, hand them out to all the neighbors, leave them on the doorstep, whatever. and, try and get as much traffic as possible. And they would come over, and every single person would walk up, I would walk them through the house. And honestly, sometimes if there was too many people at one time, I would close the front door and say, let me just walk these people through, and I'll be back right with you. So sometimes a line would form, and you know what? People really want what they can't have. So they would literally wait in line.
That's a good problem, man. A
It
line
was
outside the
it was
door.
funny though. And it
Pick
was
a
not
number.
intent. There was
Pick a
no
number.
intention in that. It just ended up
Yeah.
happening. I'm like, this is bizarre, but it really worked.
Yeah, have them pick a
And I
number.
got to know those people. I mean, as I walked through, they're looking for houses, or I would stay in touch with them, and that's how I built my database.
Madison, let's fast forward 2019 though, with open house, with the open house topic. You think open houses still work today for lead generation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think actually, in a way, with now that we're in the age of the internet and the digital age and all of that, I think real estate is still a relationship business. So building relationships, I mean, we can use the internet, we can use technology to maybe introduce ourselves or have someone come to us, but ultimately we want to build that relationship. And it's that relationship, not just, I always wanted to, when I was an agent, I wanted to build a relationship with my clients who later became friends for life. I wanted to handle all the real estate needs, everyone in their families, everyone that those people knew. And I still think it's really valuable being seen,
Right. Okay, let's get back on track. So number one, treat it like a career. Number two, open houses are a great opportunity for new agents or for anybody who has no listings. They can borrow somebody else's listings, sit the house.
Yep.
The buyers that come in who might be interested, the person sitting the open house would gather those into their database, and you said follow up with them. What would be your third piece of actionable advice that somebody can do who's getting into this business? Use
every bit of technology that can work in your favor.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Back when I would take a listing there, we put the brochures together and all that. So it was this huge coordination of getting the photographs taken and meeting the photographer and getting them and then sending them out. It was like a monumental time thing. Now it's not. And staying in touch with people is so easy. So I would say, I'm going to bring this back around to build your database and work it. That's why in an open house, that's what you're doing, right? You're making contacts. If you're not staying in touch with the contacts, it's kind of a wasted contact.
Right.
So having a database, building the database, and then marketing to your database and using technology for basically all the things that used to be so cumbersome and time took so much time, they just don't anymore. And I think that depending upon where agents go at the beginning of their career, a lot of time they're going to be doing things sort of the old school way, which takes a lot of time. And it doesn't have to if they use the technology.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you, great 3 points, by the way. I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Let's go where, let's see. I forgot my question. I completely forgot it. Back when you started, something you knew, hold on. Something you wish you knew when you got started in real estate.
Oh, that's easy. Well, there's a lot of things because I made a ridiculous amount of mistakes. I'll probably make 3 more mistakes by the end of today. If I'm lucky, it's only 3. When I first started in real estate, I was an excellent student. So I went to everything.
Okay.
What I didn't understand is that studying and knowledge is basically useless unless you implement what you learn.
Oh, I like that. I actually believe in that. Yeah.
I mean, I know you do. I mean, look what you've done with your company. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you really implementing what you're learning is important. And I made that mistake. I thought for some reason by osmosis that I would suddenly start doing all of these things, but I didn't. And so actually the vice chairman of our company, Mo Anderson, she has a saying, if you're going to pray, you better move your feet. And it's very much that same philosophy. But I wished I'd realized that. I know it seems very elementary, but after knowing so many real estate agents, and I see a lot of real estate spending a lot of time on building their knowledge, but they're really not working on their business.
Right. Listen, I also want to ask you, somebody gets their license. Yay, they're excited. They just got their license. Their first decision with that license in hand is picking a brokerage. How important is that? You know, a reputable company, a reputable brokerage compared to, say, a mom and pop shop. When making that decision, what do you recommend they do, a new agent does? So they got that license, they're excited, the passion is there, they just don't have the skills yet. How do they select the brokerage right for them?
Well, I really believe that an international company is the best way to go. There are a lot of people that are very successful just in referrals.
Okay.
And for example, at our company, Keller Williams, we built an incredible referral platform that's all through technology, and it's astounding. And I will tell you that even me, who I would not say is a savant when it comes to technology, that's an understatement, but I've even sent some referrals through our referral network, and the deals have been done. And one was in Florida, one was in a rural part of Pennsylvania, San Diego. I mean, literally, it took me 5 or 10 minutes to send these referrals through our technology, and I made tens of thousands of dollars from it. So there's a huge benefit to being with a company that has partners all over the world.
Got it. Dig your advice. And then Keller Williams, of course, is the largest real estate brokerage in the world. That helps.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. I mean, we're the largest by agent count, the largest number of units, and the largest volume.
Got it. Hey, so what's next for Madison? What's on your plate? What's next? What do you want to go from here? I mean, you've gone across the whole spectrum of real estate. I mean, out of college, you went into commercial real estate. You went into residential real estate. You went into leadership, OP, regional director. What's next for you, Madison?
It's a very interesting thing. People ask me this a lot.
Really?
Yeah, and I have to say that, I know this makes me sound like I didn't have a path, but I've always been of the mindset that if I'm doing the very best that can be done in a role, that ultimately other doors will open because of that. And I've always stayed very true to that. I basically have faith that the next step will emerge. It always has. There have been a lot of opportunities that have come my way that I chose not to take, because all opportunities are not created equally. And I think it's very important that people choose what's right for them, not just because they've been offered an opportunity. I'm very, very grateful for turning down the opportunities that I've turned down, because as time went on, I realized that wasn't really the right thing for me. When it comes across, and I stay very open, and I talk to lots of people, and, coming from curiosity, I love learning what makes them tick, what they want, what their passion is, I love that. I mean, it's great. So I'm just very confident in knowing that the next step, whatever that is, it will emerge. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. And here's a weird thing, but I'm really excited about it.
You think real estate's treated you well?
Oh my, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Keller Williams has really changed my life.
Yeah, that's the third time you've said that, and I mean it. Yeah, and I say that often myself. I say, if it weren't for real estate, I used to be a school teacher, and I was making $29,000-$30,000 a year, and I was okay with that. But getting into real estate, not just financially, growing, but the people you meet, the people you influence with, like you say, with their home purchase or whatever it may be, man, it sure makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're worth $1 million.
Yeah, truly.
Right?
It truly does. It can't always be about the money. I mean, money's nice for what it can do, but man, when you help somebody get something that they really want that changes their life, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So, Master, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up now. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
You're the man. I appreciate, like I said, everything you've given to us for our viewers. I'm sure they're going to enjoy this. And I'd like to reach out again to you soon to discuss other stuff off the record, just to get to know you better.
Yeah, I'd love it. And by the way, I love the way you take care of so many agents with your company. Your company's so highly regarded, and people love you and your wife. They're like, oh my God, they're amazing. And so that passion is carried through all through your company, and great job, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Passion is what it's all about. Well, again, like you, and that's why I'm really enjoying this interview. Is my wife and I, we've been married 30 years. It's all about giving back. You know, the good things will come when they come. My mother always told me things happen for a reason. Just keep giving, whether it be knowledge or whatnot. But sharing some passion doesn't hurt either, you know.
No way. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Madison.
Thanks, buddy. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
You got it. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching this last video. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. Hey, do us a favor. If you think a family member or a friend would also enjoy it, why don't you share it with them? I guarantee it, they're going to get something out of it. In addition, if you have any comments, questions, or a topic you want us to discuss, hey, leave it down in the comment section. And one last thing. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Do it right now. Hope to see you next week.